Nobody for comment, public comment? Okay. You would look over the minutes from the last meeting and I would take a motion that be approved.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from the June 13th facilities meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Passed. Surplus vehicles and equipment.
Hi, good afternoon. Before you today, I'm bringing 5 vehicles that we'd like to declare surplus as we...
And this will be on the next full commission agenda, but we wanted the details here in the workshop put out there for you all to understand in a little more detail than maybe we would take time at a later date.
And so what this is the technical presentation. If you'll recall, usually annually, Greg Cherry from the USGS will come down and do a pretty lengthy, detailed presentation, a lot of high-level technical stuff. So today you're going to get the common man presentation. So I'll hit on a couple of his slides here. And there's a handout in your packet that won't exactly follow the presentation on the screen, but the general idea is there. So this study has been going on, I believe, since the 50s. And so it all is about our water supply source here in Glynn County and the other coastal areas. And what we're concerned about is the chloride concentration in specific areas. So it's saltwater intrusion. We all know there's a couple of our wells that we've actually had to terminate the usage on because of that intrusion. And basically what this study does through various sites, they monitor the movement of that plume and the chloride levels. And through here, this is just really talking more specific about the equipment and the monitoring that they do. And then where these resources can be found, they have a web page. And then the poster that I have over here is one that USGS put together this year and actually presented at a symposium, I believe at UGA, just a month or two ago about this study. So this specific slide talks about the levels of the aquifers, and basically the intrusion is coming from the blue layer going up into the top. This is really technical. It's in your handout. I can't do it justice the way Mr. Cherry could. I think we're going to skip through and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about where we are in the back. Okay, you have this, I believe, in your packets. And so what this is doing is tracking all the way from the 50s to 2015. And so obviously the red are the areas that we need to be concerned with. Our 2 largest industrial water users, Georgia Pacific and Pinova, and I'm so sorry, I never have what their current name is, but when I use that name, you know who I'm referencing. In particular, there's monitoring stations at both of those sites. And so the thing that's significant is on these next slides that are not in your packet, so these will be on the screen. These are the concentrations for 2015, which would be the last one represented in your handout. So if you look at this picture, there's some blue, there's some yellow, orange, and to the red. The big red is the Georgia Pacific area, and the smaller red is the Pinova area. And you can see the numbers on there. This is what we're seeing for 2016, which is an increase in the numbers. And this is really the chart that's the best one to look at. And I think you can see it on the screen. Where the red arrows are, that's where the numbers are going up. And that's why the study is important, because just in 1 year, that's the change. So this is in the milligrams per liter. So you'll see a 148 increase and a 260 increase in those general areas. And that's really the significance of why we want to, continue the study.
Well, one of the things I want to point out that I've been made aware of is the fact that Georgia Pacific in particular has made some dramatic process changes to reduce the withdrawal rate. So in spite of the changes they've made operationally from a process standpoint, we're seeing increases in this problem over the last 2 consecutive years.
And basically, if you go back to 1980 from where they are today, both GP and Pinova have more than half, by more than 50% decreased their daily withdrawals, but the chlorides continue to go up somewhat. And like Mr. Junkin said, there's been even an increase just in this past year. So something to continue to monitor. And then this is just basically kind of the map of what the locations where we have them. And then there's if you wanted to wonder what one of these might look like, that's what that is. And like I said, Mr. Cherry, he's very technical and I cannot do this justice. I think the one that's going to be really interesting to you guys, and this is the one that always is the angst for us, is this. What it's going to cost us to continue this study. And so for this year, they're basically holding our fiscal year 15 rate that we pay. So the contribution that they need for us to continue is the 129. And then they've actually been able to maintain their level of funding. And so when you think about how USGS is funded and some of the recent changes in funding to environmental and research agencies, it kind of, from their perspective, was a big win that they were able to maintain their $110,000 level of funding coming from their organization. So we, we are the water authority in this community, and we're the leader in this. We've done some efforts with the WARMAC and provided this information to not only the big water users, but also the community at large. And so we feel like this is an important study for us to maintain and keep going. And like I said, we'll bring this for full approval next week.
Next Thursday. One of the things that I want to make a point, a couple of points. First, we did budget, so we are covered for the coming year to contract this. The other thing, I want to reemphasize what Pam was, the point Pam was just making, that as the water and sewer utility, and this aquifer being part of the source of the water that we use, provide water to the community, it behooves us to be the leader in managing it, looking over it, and making sure that action is taken when action is needed. We can't take that action, we can't recommend that action without knowing the details of what's really going on and seeing the trends and progress, positive or negative, of what's going on. So I want to go on record as saying I strongly support our need to do this, particularly in light of our desire to show our buy-in and ownership of the processes that belong to us where we act here in the community.
We do have 3 more potential permits that have been approved, and this gives you information when we go to drill or place a well, we need to know we're not going to be in a bad spot to start with.
That's true.
Exacerbate the situation.
So to your point, this information that we gain annually as being the participant and helping fund this study, that would all be background stuff that would be included as we go to apply, when it's time to construct, so that we can show that we are putting that permit in viable places.
I guess I'll just go ahead and say it now. I am dead set against this. Right? Because this is not an instantaneous event. You can see for the past 15, 20 years, the locations where we do not really want to put wells. Yet we've been paying this $129,000 or whatever every year with no contributions from the commercial interest. And I already know for a fact that one of the two, Pinova or whatever, took our information and sank new wells without contributing any of this. So I'm not sure that this is really providing a worthwhile environment, because if we have a well that's at risk of saltwater intrusion, I'm not going to get a snapshot from this. We'll probably notice it from our own testing. Just like they did with that one well in Brunswick.
The last time we talked about this, we asked, and I don't know if it never went through, but we were going to try to get GP and Pinova to contribute to it. That was when Mr. Swan was here, and I don't mean it's been dropped, or we just haven't pursued it or whatever.
My asking around, and I'm not sure, Pam, if it was you or someone indicated that while they weren't contributing directly to our effort to fund this analysis, they were doing some independent funding directly through USGS?
They have, and in fact, one of those entities had made some commitments to us, and the other one had expressed interest in it. And honestly, when we were going through the Warm Act reformation and that sort of thing, there's been some conversation now that we have this year's data that we may try and, re-go that. But the other thing that was an issue with them all funding was their budget cycles lining up with our budget cycles and making sure that they could get some budget numbers in there for these contributions. But both of those agencies or industries were interested in participating in WARMAC and had told us that they would commit some level of funding for us. But they want to see, the study continue too.
And I certainly agree with Commissioner Ford on the fact that they ought to be contributing, particularly since it's quite apparent to me, just looking at it from the map today, that they are probably the ultimate source of this problem. I don't disagree that they need to be buried in it. One of the issues is getting with them and finding the time to make sure they're contributors. And I think so, some personal campaigning maybe on my part.
Well, okay, let's not put the monkey on our back. In the USGS looks at us to run around and find money for them. I think we ought to just decide on a sum of money that we'll give them and tell them they need to go and talk to Pinova and they need to talk to Georgia Pacific and these other people and say, Joe Water Sewer is only going to give us this amount of money. If you want to keep this program in Glynn County, then you need to help fund it. You're the two biggest water users. You're the ones that,
You're nearest the problem.
That's right. So let USGS, I'm trying to have a understanding of, that's roughly 2 man-years at least in traveling, conferences and stuff. What we're getting from 2 people. I mean, it seems like this is maybe like at most a half a man-year of work.
To get the analysis, to get
Yeah.
come in and
So
200.
I don't think that we ought to run, we don't have the dadgum staff time with everything else that's on our plate to run around and do this. You're already committed where we can't talk to you enough.
Or line to you.
I'm not gonna argue. I'm not spending enough time with you guys.
So, it's just, if somebody thinks that this is that necessary, okay. But I think that we ought to figure out, how much we want to put into it and tell them to find the money someplace else.
Would you be amenable to, between now and next week, we'll try to do some investigation. We'll talk to Greg, and I'll try to track down our GP general manager, and Pinova's boss, and tell them where we're going with this. I guess the thing I think we need to do, while I agree with you all on the fact that they have the lion's share of responsibility to get this analysis made, I guess I'm not clear on what the outcome is, who's going to take the bull by the horns if they decide to look the other way. I'd like to get a little more clarification on what the eventual outcomes might be. Maybe we can talk to USGS and maybe we can talk to EPD. But the other thing I'd like to do is talk to our USGS person about, you brought up the fact that this is excessive money for the outcome of what we're getting. I can't argue with it right now. I don't have the facts. Maybe one of the things we can talk to Greg about, Pam, is, hey, show us how this money's getting spent and why we need this dollar figure. It dropped over for fiscal year 14 to 15. Why did it drop? We're not getting less results out of the study. But if we understood that, maybe we could piece together what is a reasonable amount for us and a reasonable amount for our two industrial citizens that should be participating, that don't. But a few things we need to kind of cull over here in the next week if we can.
You know, I would ask further that, you know, if we have to put new wells in, and if we go nowhere near this area, we can extrapolate all the information we need off of here and draw a boundary and say, don't put a well anywhere near this area. And I would almost be kind of risk that, okay, you know, we can put wells, we don't need this. We already have the base information, as long as you're away from that.
But I know we've lost some wells as a result of this outcome. It'd be good for me, from my perspective. I hear what you're saying, but I'd like to see, Commissioner Ford, what the nearest impacts are on the rest of our system before I come to the, you know, jump into the, yeah, this is not about us mindset. It could be. I'm not comfortable enough in my knowledge of the facts to give you what you need just today. Give us a few days to, you know, try to work through each of your concerns and get a little more information. And if we're not ready next Thursday, we may push this off.
I just, you know,
But I hear what you're all saying.
yeah, I just,
What you might want to ask them too is, how does this impact, what are they doing in like Savannah area, because they can't drill anymore? The next county down, Liberty,
Yeah.
I think it is, they can't drill.
That's a
anymore.
good point.
If it's something that's going to impact in us attracting industry for trade winds, which we may very well need.
why doesn't EPD pay for it?
Yeah.
But,
I mean, they're the ones that are responsible for this stuff.
but that's what we think we'd find out.
I'd just like to know, and that's another good question. I'd like to know, again, what the regulatory folks are gonna do if the plume grows.
Right.
What is their, I mean, we know from a standpoint, nobody has to tell me regulatorily, I can't provide salty water to my customers. But to keep it from turning into the Tybee Island situation that Colonel Bowen's talking about,
Yeah,
surely something needs to be done before it gets to that point.
Yeah, but that's more of a function of the geology of the earth is the problem with Savannah and those areas.
Yeah, but I
They
mean, it
don't
all
have
relates
this-
back to the draw of water from their
It
fresh
does,
water.
but-
We still have reliability, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I understand that. And I think maybe we'll buy $80,000 of that liability.
I agree.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, you're only gonna be 50?
That's, yeah, he's looking at 50.
Probably 50 at the most.
You know,
But, so, I still think it, I mean, it needs to come back to the whole commission, but after y'all try to bend some ears. I said it comes back to the whole commission after y'all bend some ears.
Okay. We'll do it.
well, where are we, I'm curious, if I don't have a presentation on where we are on the contract, the first contract under SPLOST.
Oh,
We awarded that, we got an update
We
in there?
did, we had our kickoff meeting, let's see, was that, Pam, that was last week?
Week before last.
Week before last. Basically, they shared a little more information about what they want to do. They're going to be doing some, you know, pulling data from the ground, finding what they've got in mind, and starting the process of working towards the 30% design. Our intent is at completion of the 30% design to go back and make a kind of a public presentation of what's happening, where we're at, where we're going to be going. Not a lot of new stuff to report, except that we turned them loose.
And we're on track with what we had projected because we said it would be sometime in August before we came back with that 30% number for everyone, so. We actually yesterday made some pretty significant decisions about
Pump
40 and
selections,
28 and some of
yes.
the pump selections. So we're making progress just like we thought we should, but to get to the 30% design, we still have a ways to go. So it'll probably be the round of meetings for August that you'll see that information.
Also have our SPOS oversight committee meeting next week on Wednesday.
Yeah, no,
So we'll be giving an update at that point as well with,
Although, again, it's going to be similarly short and vague because there just hadn't been enough time to see the big picture change in a substantial way.
and then, we're all finished on 2032, just the contract runs until, it's all hooked up and ready to go, we tried it. Might
Correct.
brief us on that.
yes, sir. 2032 project is essentially complete, and contract completion date on that is the 22nd of this month. Just a little bit of last cleanup here and there, but we've actually filed our NOT for the sediment erosion control permit, so that is a good sign that the project is essentially complete. We have done a startup internally on the pump station. We got about 1,400 GPM per pump on the new 16-inch force main, combined about 2,200, which runs very closely to our standby bypass pump, diesel pump that's on site as well. It's pumping as predicted, very, very closely, maybe a little bit better than modeling showed to begin the project. So appears to be a good success at this point. We're going to have a 21st, Friday the 21st of this month. We'll have a media event planned. We'll be looking for invites to go out for
That's
that.
next Friday.
Correct. Just be a simple startup and an opportunity for media to get some photographs, ask some questions. Limited public direct invitation, but some dignitaries and whatnot, commissioners, et cetera, will be invited for sure.
Do we need to have a rain god so that Cliff and Dave can be there?
It depends on the time.
You can be there, right, Robert? No,
I think that was an entirely unfair question to ask. I know they'll be there.
I'll be-
We can do it early morning, or as early Friday morning as possible, if that's convenient.
I think they play golf early morning. right?
Okay.
I have details on Friday.
To
7
be there.
o'clock then, right?
The Holly Street project.
Nothing new to report on Holly Street other than it's ready to go to bid. So,
And what are they waiting on?
essentially the okay from us to put it out for bid. The county's waiting on that, so.
If they're waiting on us, what are we waiting on?
Just essentially to wipe out this last bit of detail in this project. Get done with it.
2032?
Yes, sir, get it off the books and move forward with the Holly Street.
I think if we're supposed to be, we can go ahead and tell them
Okay.
now. In Alder Street, there's a money issue.
Alder Street, the bids that came in when it was originally bid out, the county bid that project as well. We did the engineering, so the money, the bids came in about twice of what was available for money left as supplies. So we're going back, determining what do we exactly want to do with that project.
Have we asked them about using some of that $1.3 million that they're holding for us to buy land for that plant in the North Mainland area? That looks like it's never going to be built.
I know on several occasions we've asked if that money can be reallocated. I have not heard anything other than
Can we
no.
re-ask that before we wind up with more money sitting around from 2005 not doing
I
anything?
would very much like to be able to use that money. We'll work with Mr. Junkin and maybe talk to Mr. Hours.
New program.
Let's see, what else we have?
Did we get our first vote?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Two checks.
oh, yeah, yeah, we've gotten
Two checks.
2 checks.
So, yeah, $750,000 so far.
Great.
That's been pretty good.
Right over there, you want to tell me about
Oh.
Mansfield?
Sure, Urbana, just a quick update on Urbana project. It is essentially complete. Last few items on the punch list with paving and curb lines, things like that. A little bit of ponding water with the new street being put in. You're gonna notice some differences. here and there. So we're working with the city engineer and their staff and whatnot to identify and remedy those issues. So we hope in the next couple of weeks to be completely done with that project. Contractors back on, last week being a holiday week, they weren't on site, they're back on site now. Mansfield Street, a little bit of an update in progress on there. A 10-inch ductile main is now completely abandoned and onto the new PVC line, 12-inch line that was laid. All the fire lines and existing services are now connected to it. The paving has taken place yet on Mansfield as we had hoped, and we're asking the city to coordinate another update meeting with the contractors to stay on top of it. So that one, not moving as fast as we like, but there is a little bit of forward progress.
Okay, one other area was the canal crossing where we thought we had a right-of-way issue. That's been resolved?
Correct. So that would in regard to our pump station project, 4101. This goes to show how line locating can be not so exact sometimes, even though you have wire and tracer wire on lines. What happened was there was some irrigation and power cables that run very close to where our force main was after it was installed. And when the guys went out and located via the tracer wire, it indicated that it was on the adjacent property owner's property or cut the corner. Actually went out there and pothole and discovered that it was outside in the right of way where it should be. So even though you get a signal that indicates it's somewhere, that is taken with a little grain of salt. You never know what else is inducing signals underneath the ground there. And that's what we found. There were some very close power cables and irrigation cable and control wires that were next close to it, giving a false signal. So everything's wrapped up on that project. We're essentially down to record drawings. We're staying on the contract about completing those. As far as
How's
infrastructure,
Mr. Calloway coming on his record drawings?
he's working with well,
The lawyers are working.
Yeah, the attorneys are having a discussion now. They would like to revise our easement documents to some extent, and you know, it's
I don't think there's going to be.
don't know
as much.
if it's our benefit or not, but Charlie's had some questions about it. It's really in the discussions between them at this point.
Okay, well, we probably need to talk about it on Thursday,
Yeah, that's,
executive session.
so.
So you put that, make sure you have that in there. And then there was another one that was floating through my head. We were talking about putting a line in from Canal Crossing over to Harry Driggers.
Right, okay. As part of our splost, okay, water line.
That's not a splat, it's a water line.
Oh, we're talking about the water line project,
It's
okay.
not a splat.
So water line is going in, matter of fact, the construction was supposed to start today, directional bore, while the county is doing their bridge. It's a new bridge across the Elmont Canal there at Glencoe Parkway, close to hospice. And well, that project's underway, and we've got Army Corps permitting, et cetera, already in place. We're taking the opportunity to go ahead and put a piece of 14-inch HDPE underneath the canal through the project area, which we know we will connect and extend at a future point all the way down to in front of the airport. That'll give us our second loop. We've talked a lot about that outside the Fletzy campus area. Contractor mobilized, the directional bore contractor mobilized today. That bore should be in process and likely finish up tomorrow. I've got to wait for a report from inspectors on that this afternoon. And one of the points probably bring up is, as part of our SPLOST project, phase 2, or phase 3, will be the section of force main, new 20-inch force main come down here to Heritage Boulevard. It's going to come down to Canal Crossing or Canal Road and connecting where we left it off in the Canal Road project. One thing we're waiting on is finalized plans or plan of action from the county on the road widening project for that section of Canal Road. They're going to widen it from where they stopped there at the Sam's Club area all the way to Glencoe Parkway. And there's going to be some right-of-way acquisitions and different things that have to happen. We can't finalize our route for our new force main until we know where that is. So we're in communication with the county to try to urgently get that information, at least what the plan is. Just brought it up to Mr. Junkin's attention this past week so he can be aware there's a potential issue there with our timing. if we don't know exactly where we can put our force main to.
Well, if you're boring under where the bridge is going, you like boring to the right side, because that's actually where the road's gonna expand to also for Glencoe Parkway.
Correct. We're on the south side all the way against the edge of the right of way. So that's where the county indicated they liked us to favor to. It's also where it was a mad rush, cable, gas. I mean, you had everybody out there trying to get underground during this permit process. So we're the county designated PD, so we're on the south side of Glencoe Parkway there.
Okay.
They've got the pilings in now for the bridge, most supporting structure.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can see-
I happened to play golf with the owner of the bridge company.
Okay.
And he was doing a lot of whining about it.
Hurry up, when are we gonna get out there and get it done? Yeah.
And then the project on State Road 99?
State Road 99, so some progress on that this week. We've been waiting, or the contractor's been trying to get the utilities, the existing utility companies to locate their utilities on the 341 section and also the 99 section from about Georgia Power easement or Seaboard's property over to behind the Dollar General where our water line's going to route through. The existing utilities show that we're clear to go on the already GDOT approved plan on 341. We're going to go ahead and proceed with that. There's a section of where the Sterling Baptist Church property is, and then their parsonage property just below that. We're approaching them for easements to get across the property, get out of DOT right away because it's so congested with the existing utilities. We've got a meeting, we're going to set up a meeting next week with the pastor, talk about that. We already have that plan in motion. Second backup plan is if we have to stay out in the DOT right away, we're going to bore that section out. We've got pricing already in the contract. We're just going to get up under the existing utilities. We don't like to go deep with water lines because it can give us access for the future, but it may be the only option. Once we get past those two properties, if it's a home run stretch, we got a permission from the county now to go down the large field between there and McKenzie. So we've got a 20-foot wide easement we can shoot right on down once we make it to that point.
20 foot wide, that's pretty wide.
It can always be wider, but it's wide enough to get our water line in there. When I say that, eventually one of these days, we're probably going to see a force main following that same route at some point. So
And what's the distance that we have to have between the two?
10 feet of separation.
That's,
10 feet of separation, of horizontal
okay,
separation.
so,
If you have vertical separation, it can be a little closer
so actually we only have 5 feet.
on either side, correct? We have to offset from either side of the easement for 5 feet. So, but at least a little bit of momentum back with that project. We're still working on the section on 99. We have already, we have submitted, and has been submitted to the DOT for approval or review for some time now. Our water line was too close, or where we had it proposed to be too close to the edge of pavement. They didn't like that because of the existing utilities. We've gone back to them 2 times now with revised plans, waiting for approval from them on that. That may, again, turn into a option of boring deep and getting under the existing utilities.
Yeah, we were talking about it when I first came on the commission, it was still not there.
Right. It's been it goes to show you need to, boy, you can never do too much upfront investigation, utility location. You can't spend a lot of time because things change pretty quick around here, everywhere. But a little bit more positive notion on that one.
Well, those are all the projects I know that I felt we needed an update on. Anybody else got any others?
The only thing,
I'm going to you, it's you.
the only other thing I was thinking about, we're doing some things that aren't formal projects. I know one of the issues that staff's working on right now is some temporary upgrades. Lift station 4003, there are some needs for capacity there that can't wait 18, 24 months on the SPLOST project to get started or completed and whatever other downstream issues. So we're working on coming up with a near-term plan to do a package plant and bridge the gap in capacity and time until we get the SPLOST project completed. Getting pricing on the temporary option as I speak.
So would this be a rental package plan?
No, it's not a treatment plant, it's like a transfer station on skids, if that makes it.
So it's a holding tank?
No, it's a transfer station, it's a pump station.
Oh, okay, okay,
It's,
got it.
it's, lift station 4003 is not meeting the capacity needs of what we got, plus some demand for some development in the city of Brunswick. So we're looking at a package that we can bypass the station essentially and provide additional capacity to bridge the gap.
Okay, got it.
Okay, you brought up another thing. Is Peninsula, is that kind of like off to the side that we've done everything we're supposed to do?
There's no other issues that I'm aware of that they're waiting on us to take care of.
Okay, I just make sure that that's off the table.
It is. Agreements are signed, everybody's doing their thing, I assume. I hadn't heard how they're doing on the business side of things, but we've met with and done what we were supposed to.
Anybody else? Meeting adjourned. Very good.
Now, I'm gonna